Hey gang, I'm Cole Chaney and this is episode 30 of the CBD Source podcast. Happy Hemp Day, gang. This is the CBD Source podcast, your source for all things CBD, and happy Halloween. You know what I think the funniest rumor about Halloween this year is that people are going to put THC or CBD candies in kids' Halloween trick-or-treating baskets or bags or whatever. That is very, very unlikely. I mean, those candies are expensive. Nobody's getting that kind of candy. Like, when you were a kid, good luck if you got a full-size Snickers. You know what I mean? It very seldom happened. Somehow for Halloween, they make Snickers bars that are like the size of a Starburst. You think people are going to be giving away free cannabinoids? Coming up on the show, we've got a comedian, an eco-comic, who's also got a few cool projects in the works. One of them has to do with catch and release of wild cats. She's an impressionist based out of Los Angeles and does a lot of comedy for the environment. So gang, let's dive right into it. Let's give a warm CBD Source podcast welcome to Jackie Eco.
Gang, you're listening to the CBD Source podcast.
Hey, is this Cullen?
Yeah, yes.
Do I call you Cullen or Kojo?
You can call me Cull.
Cole.
Like
okay.
Short for Cullen. Yeah.
You're like Diddy. Did you know that he just changed his name again?
Did he?
Yep.
What's his name?
I don't know, Ralph. I don't know. All I know is I read a headline saying he's changing it again, and I moved on to the next headline.
Snoop Dogg changed his name briefly to Snoop Lion, and then he came out with his own Snoop Lion cannabis strain. So I think they only changed their names just to make new strains.
Well, whatever works, right? Now, what's going on in New York? So is it legal, or what's the latest on that? Just medical, or?
Medical is legal, and most recently they decriminalized it. So basically, if you get caught with it, it's like a $50 fine. No jail time.
Well,
yeah,
right.
It was supposed
That's progress, I guess.
Andrew Cuomo was like heart set on legalizing it this year in January, and then like come the date that it was supposed to happen, it just didn't happen. I guess they didn't get enough votes or something. It just disappeared. So
it'll get there.
Yeah, it's supposed to happen pretty soon, I guess. Mm-hmm. Every time I talk to a guest from California, I'm so jealous because you guys have access to all of this stuff, like free reign. Like I almost took a trip up to Maine a couple weeks ago for a festival because I wanted to not only record some interviews, but like Maine just got legalized recreational for adults. But then I called ahead. I called the dispensaries ahead, and they said it doesn't kick in until February of next year. So you'd have to have a medical card and all that. So screwed me, but next year will be cool. I mean, we got Massachusetts, Maine, like Washington, D.C., all these places over here on this coast where we can at least go to now and get stuff recreational.
Well, don't get angry, but we are so far beyond that we actually have billboards advertising cannabis delivery services. And I'm not kidding you.
Oh my God, that makes me so jealous.
I get the flyers in the mail, like the door hangers and stuff, like wanting me to hook up. So like, it's like on a Friday night. Like we're so lazy. We have Postmates for everything, literally.
Oh, geez.
But they have so many delivery services now.
That's amazing. Yeah, we just got we ordered lunch today through DoorDash or whatever, so like it just came. I can only imagine that same service for weed. That's nuts. Or CBD, like, wow. That's you guys are lucky. We're in another world.
Well, and also, as I'm guessing you might have heard, our weed is a bit different. than regular weed. It's a little, maybe too potent for some people.
Too potent.
So it's crazy. It's literally, it's like beyond, it's like way more powerful and crazy. And, I guess everybody has their own reaction to it, but because I'm a smaller person, I have to, and I don't do it every day, I have to be super modest with my portions.
Right.
So, so I'll give you an example. I went to this dispensary, not that far from where I live. It's actually, I consider it to be very advanced, very cool dispensary. And it's very interesting. They have a philosophy that they don't believe CBD products work unless it has some level of THC in it, even if it's a tiny level. So, because I had said initially, I want something with no THC. I just need it to be productive or something. I don't remember why I went in there for it. And anyway, long story short is I wound up getting these cannabis-infused gummies. And they have like 5 milligrams of THC.
Right.
And
was it like a 1-to-1 or something, or a 2 or 3-to-1 of CBD to THC?
It says here 5 milligrams THC, and then there's like a little less than symbol, 0.1 milligram CBD each.
You went in there for CBD and they gave you like a minuscule amount of CBD and just sold you some like weed gummies.
I guess. You know what was so crazy?
What?
I said to the lady, so can I get really high off of these? She's like, not really. She's like, you'd have to eat like a bunch of them.
Wow.
So I'm like, oh, okay. I went home, I took one, and then I got so baked, I was hallucinating.
Oh, my God.
I was like afraid to leave my apartment. I'm the property manager here too, so I have to be careful. But yeah.
One got you that baked. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it the first time you ever tried edibles?
No. I've had some strong reactions to edibles in the past, so I really should have known better. I guess I just bought into what she said that, it's fine. You can take a whole bunch and you'll be fine. You'll be productive. No, I felt good, but I wasn't really productive that night.
Right. Yeah. Maybe next time just eat like half a gummy, like chop his head off and just pop that, or like I'm only going to eat it barefoot.
I've experimented since then. And so basically what I've learned, and a lot of people are probably very jealous of this because it saves a lot of money, I guess. If I just want to like have a little bit of a stress reduction and be productive, I literally have learned I can only take one crumb.
One crumb?
Like a nibble off of the gummy.
Wow.
Just a tiny nibble.
Lucky
like a tiny nibble. It's crazy. Yeah. And then if I feel like, okay, I'm in for the night, I'm stressed out, I'm going to have close to a half of a gummy.
Have you ever combined CBD, like CBD gummies with THC gummies?
Yes. Yeah, just kind of, I guess, as semi-experiments, just to take like maybe half of a THC gummy and then one whole regular non-THC gummy. And it seems that the THC gummy activates the other one as well. So it's interesting.
Activates?
Yeah.
What do you mean activates?
Seems like the THC from the one gummy activates the quote unquote non-THC product. Kind of made it more. I felt more of a high from them.
That's cool.
Combined.
That's cool. I have a very similar experience with that. Like when I take CBD and combine it with even a little bit of THC, like if I'm taking a lot of CBD and I'm just feeling like nice and loose, but if I just spark a little, like one hit of a THC vape or something, the bristling, it just converts it. It sounds exactly like what you're saying. Like it converts that CBD into a totally different high than I would normally get just from THC. Very bizarre.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's like a very thinky high. Like I start instantly getting all these ideas and just jotting things down, like writing all these notes. Like I could spend a whole afternoon just writing all like all this information.
Wow.
It's like almost like a download from the universe. Like all this information, I just want to pump it out so I don't forget it. You know what I mean?
And then what does it look like later?
Like, wow, this is amazing stuff. Like stuff that I wouldn't maybe come up with on, not being in that right mind state, That's very strange. I call it the bristling.
Well, anyway, I've heard that there is some THC in every single hemp oil product. Do you think that's true?
There's 3 types of CBD oil. There's like the isolate, which is where they chemically isolate out just the CBD and extract everything else, where it's like the purest form of just pure CBD kind of thing. Then there's broad spectrum, which is CBD and like a bunch of other cannabinoids and terpenes, but no THC, and which might even have a tiny, tiny bit. And then there's full spectrum that has all the different things, everything. And it has a little THC. It has like the legal amount, which is 0.3% THC. Like you were saying before that marijuana is really strong out there. Let's say that a normal, say, joint or something, if you're talking about THC, would have, say, between 19 and 35% THC, or like maybe even 10 to 35% THC. So the legal amount is 0.3% THC. That's what you can sell from industrial hemp. Like when you extract the CBD from it, there'll be some THC in there, but it's such a minuscule amount that technically they can still sell it legally, but not from marijuana. It has to come from like an industrial hemp plant, at least outside of California. So you bought this THC gummy from a dispensary that they were saying it was a low dose. Don't worry about it. But your endocannabinoid system must be really high tuned that it can just like a tiny bit of a cannabinoid and you're feeling like really great effects. So
correct. Yeah, but I find it actually very helpful that I, just can take a teeny amount every day. And this is going to last for, I don't know, until after Christmas. I'm like a bit of a workaholic. So it's kind of hard for me to accidentally become unproductive when I didn't plan to be unproductive.
Right.
So I just, figure it's a learning experience out here. And I just recommend that anybody who comes out here to try this stuff, just go at your own pace, because it's not like regular weed. I don't know what they're doing to it. But.
They've genetically bred it over the years to be stronger and stronger, and then they find strong strains and they marry it to other strong strains to make super strong strains. Yeah, it's kind of nuts.
I guess.
Yep.
I don't know.
Well, like I was saying in a couple episodes ago, back in the 70s and 80s, a lot of people say that weed's a lot stronger now than it was in the 60s. They're really right, because like in the 70s and 80s, the average, the average flower was somewhere around 3% THC, and now they're up into the like Bruce Banner is like 35% THC. So they've got strains now that are so much more potent. It's like smoking hashish compared to normal old school weed. How strong it is. It's just very, very concentrated. And also people are doing, concentrate dabs and, doing all sorts of stuff with dabbing. But the other thing I want to talk to you about, because I know you're really into this, is CBD for cats and animals. Yeah. You're really involved with cats. Tell me a little bit about the project that you've got going here.
So long story shortest, I've been working.
You can give me the long version.
I started doing something back in 2003, something called TNR, also known as Trap, Neuter, Return.
Okay.
And so basically the process is you rescue any kittens that you find that can possibly be tamed and fostered and put into homes safely. And you also get all their parents fixed and just put back and let them live out their life. Every situation is different, but generally they can just, live their lives in peace rather than, dying in a shelter.
So this is like for street cats, like feral cats, wild cats?
Sometimes they're feral, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they've been dumped or they are lost or they're out there for various reasons. But the idea is to just simply get them fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, when you bring them in to be fixed, they get vaccinated as well.
Cool.
And usually they get an ear tip. So this way, everybody knows they've been vaccinated and fixed. So, they're still out there killing rodents and helping to keep, the rodent population down. And I've also seen them out there, like literally standing outside behind buildings, preying on mosquitoes. And mosquitoes carry West Nile sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think that they definitely, have a good purpose out there.
That's great.
Just to live out their lives in peace. And
what do they normally do? Like, what's the alternative? They catch them and like
kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah, or they put them in a shelter, which is ridiculous because they're not really adoptable, most of them, because they've never been touched by a human.
Right.
So
they're basically like wild animals that are doing a good thing for, keeping the rodent population down, living their lives out, in urban areas. So how are you involved?
Well, I got involved because I was staying with my mom temporarily in New Jersey before I moved to Los Angeles because I wasn't really sure where I wanted to move to next.
Mm-hmm.
And I would see a bunch of kittens, appear basically in her parking lot and some adult cats. And then, the city would come in and just basically kill them. Any kitten that was 8 weeks or 10 weeks old, they would put them down as well.
Mm.
And I just thought it was ridiculous and sick and horrible. And then one night we were driving home and I saw kittens playing in the street in the storm drain, around the storm drain. And I just thought, I can't deal with this anymore. Somebody has to do something here.
Mm-hmm.
I wound up finding like a local rescue group, kitties in need of someone special, KISS. And, their specialty was socializing, fostering cats and kittens and adopting them out. And the woman who ran it at the time, Christine Margot, so Christine said to me on the phone, well, we'll take in those 3 kittens, but you got to get them first. I was like, what?
You got to get them? You got to like catch them?
Yeah, because they're very shy. They weren't just like kittens.
Right.
And so I said to her like maybe 12 times, I said, well, are you sure you can't come here and get them?
Yeah.
And I just kept asking her, please, can you come here? I don't know anything about catching kittens. And
those little kitten claws are like little pinpricks. You know how sharp those little kitten claws are?
Yeah, I mean, I had no idea anything. Like, I didn't even know what a feral cat was. I had no idea.
Uh-huh.
So I wound up buying a trap and finding Alley Cat Allies online, and I self-trained through their website, and I really, really, really studied up on it before I started.
Uh-huh.
And I was just, like, immediately successful, and I, found out, there were some elderly people there that were feeding the cats, and there was this one cat that kept having, I don't know, 1 litter a year or something, Whiskers. And she was the first adult that I trapped. And they couldn't believe it. And they were like, is that Whiskers under there? Under the towel in the trap. And they saw her, and they're like, we've been trying for years to catch Whiskers. And I'm like, wow, I must be good at this,
You caught the Moby Dick of wild cats.
Exactly. And I used to have a joke in my act saying she was the Michelle Duggar of cats. So did you get that joke?
Michelle Duggar from the show that had like 30 kids or something?
Yeah, it was like, what was the name of that show?
27,000 kids and counting. Yeah. Right.
I had Whiskers brought in. She was fixed. She was vaccinated. She had her ear tipped. And we just put her back, and she stopped having kittens.
Nice.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
So, I just got involved and learned along the way. And so I kind of had the idea back then, like, this would make an awesome TV show just to educate people, like, how to do this, because just about everybody knows, like, a grandmother or an aunt or somebody who's feeding a cat in the backyard who just keeps having kittens every year.
Right.
Technically, one cat can have up to 3 litters a year. It's just that in colder climates, they're less likely to survive and that kind of thing.
Right.
And the elderly people where my mother lived, they were terrified to call animal control because they were afraid they were going to come and kill all the cats and kittens, which is pretty much what they were doing.
Yeah, wow.
In other areas of the complex. So that was very rewarding for me to get involved. And
You're like the kitten Schindler.
Sure.
No, that's great.
And yeah, so I felt that my mother's community really needed to have some sort of an organization there where there was none.
Mm-hmm.
So I basically created the Morris County Animal and Nature Council. And so that is still there as a neighborhood resource. So basically, over the years, I've been filming for a sizzle reel to Pitch Network. There's like a creative twist to the project that I can't say here,
Okay.
but basically the general idea is that the show is fun and entertaining, but it still educates people about why everybody should be spaying and neutering their pets, and showing them, okay, well, this is what's going on every year when they have what they call kitten season,
Mm-hmm.
where the weather is warmer and then the shelters are just bombarded with kittens, and it's so horrifying. There's like really high suicide rates amongst shelter workers, and it's just so horrible. And I figured if I can make a fun show that educates people that,
Yeah.
you know what, there's a better way, and, this is why people need to be spaying and neutering their cats and kittens, and older kittens, obviously, but...
say like it's you and another comedian every episode, like Jackie Eco and Amy Schumer going out to try to find kittens, or like you and Key and Peele going off into the woods to get overturning something, like opening the back of an old truck and there's like 50 little kittens in there. I think that would be crazy.
We were going to pitch Animal Planet, and the producer that I was working with on it, she said Animal Planet is not currently looking for cat shows. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with that project at the moment. So I also have a biopic that I'm working on that's really timely, and it's a just amazing biopic idea. So I'm kind of juggling the two projects at the moment, and kind of a thing.
Very cool. And you're still doing like stand-up?
Yeah. I've been getting some offers to do some club work, but I'm just trying to figure out things with my projects right now. So.
Okay, cool. How does CBD come into this whole cats project, or just cats in general? I know you were telling me before we talked about that you're really into CBD with cats.
I've done a lot of research, and we have tried it here. So when my cat was only about 3 years old, she was diagnosed with gingivitis. Okay, and I wonder if I should go back even further.
Yeah, go all the way back.
Okay. So, these two cats, by the way, I'm allergic to cats. I'm severely allergic to cats.
What?
That is okay. That is the one thing that I am the most allergic to, and I've had an allergy test that shows that. The second thing I'm most allergic to are some breeds of dogs.
Jeez.
But I'm allergic to all cats. So I've had to adapt, so to speak. And what happened was out here in California, one night, this mother cat came to my window begging for help. And it turns out she had 2 kittens, and she was tame. And I wound up rescuing all 3 of them and getting the mom spayed, and I found her a home. But the kittens were sick for the first 8 months. And I feel like because they spent 1 week at a rescue, they picked up something there because it made them more sensitive to stress. And so they had like eye conjunctivitis and diarrhea. I don't want to gross you guys out, but it was like a daily thing. And I was beginning to believe that was also relevant to the dogs barking next door and everything that moved, even across the street. So because it was like my room was like right next to their driveway and their porch. And so I actually was right, because as soon as I moved them out of there, then their symptoms cleared up, thankfully. But they were sick for the first 8 months, so I was too attached to them at that point to just give them up. When I had them spayed, I think they were maybe 5 months old or something, and I took them to this clinic that I did not know. It did not have the best reputation,
Mm-hmm.
and they apparently maybe gave the kittens too much anesthesia because they both had a bad reaction to it when they came out.
Mm.
So I don't know if this is where the problem first generated or if it was from the gingivitis. But what had been going on for the years after that, my cat, Katniss, she would have what I thought were panic attacks every once in a while. And I felt like they were kind of exacerbated by stress, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So basically she would just go room to room just crying, like meow, meow, meow. And I learned to basically just pick her up and walk with her a little bit to try to calm her down like a baby,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Right.
And so I thought, oh, well, she's just having panic attacks. You know, I had no idea about anything. And then I don't know what the connection is exactly, but I personally at home have started to use essential oils. I take it you know what those are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like lavender, eucalyptus,
Right.
that kind of a thing. But I had heard somewhere along the way that essential oils can be toxic to cats. So I was not using a diffuser. I would only put a couple of drops like on my yoga mat, that kind of a thing.
Right.
In January, Katniss had what is known.
Did you name her Katniss after the book and movie, The Hunger Games? Katniss Everdeen.
No, my grandmother's name was Katniss.
Oh wow.
You didn't know that?
No, that's cool.
I'm kidding. Come on. So I had wanted Katniss and her sister to be adopted together. So that's why I named them after the sisters in the Hunger Games.
Okay.
To help encourage people to adopt.
Didn't work though.
But they did get adopted together because I have them both.
Katniss lost the Hunger Games. She was not a viable tribute.
Exactly. Yeah. So.
Oh, that's sad.
So basically, she had what is known as a grand mal seizure.
Mm.
Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
A very intense seizure. Okay.
Yeah. It's like the really, really bad seizure, the really bad one, right? Like unconscious seizure, right?
Everything,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I spoke to my friend Connie, who's worked in rescue for many, many years, and she had a cat that I think is a different situation. Her cat was older, and so she had been giving her cat like a hemp oil.
Mm-hmm.
So she referred me to that hemp oil, and I started to incorporate that into Katniss's diet. And, you know, basically Connie said that, you know, be careful using phenobarbital because that can affect liver function. And so, unfortunately, the hemp oil did not stop the seizure, okay? In fact, just FYI to everybody out there, this is just what happened with me, okay? One night, I had wanted to take a shower, and so I used a very strong essential oil. I put like maybe I tried to put one drop onto the bottom of my shower stall, and instead 3 drops fell out. I'm like, oh, okay, no big deal. But it created a mist, kind of like a diffuser effect, and based on where Katniss was sleeping at the top of my closet, because I used to have it set up for them up there with blankets and stuff. I have like a vanity room that's open near my bathroom, you know. So that's like also a closet. And so she actually had a seizure that night and fell down from the closet, okay?
Yeah.
And thank God she somehow clutched onto blankets and pillows that broke her fall by the time she got to the bottom, because I had stuff underneath the closet like a dresser and stuff that kind of also helped to break her fall. And then there was a chair under there with a pillow. And thankfully she was okay, but it was still way too high up to fall.
Right,
you know?
right.
And so that's when I was like thinking, I wonder if the essential oils have somehow, because I had just started to really use them at home, the essential oils were somehow activating the seizures that were already in her system.
Yeah, I
that she was
wonder.
already having. The panic attacks apparently were mini seizures, but it was the essential oils that irritated her system so much that it kind of like activated the into being full blown
Wow.
dangerous seizures. And so eventually wound up putting her on phenobarbital, and she has not had a single seizure since, thankfully. So, but a lot of people swear, and I think it's helpful if the seizures are caused by old age.
Mm-hmm.
If your pet is having seizures from old age in particular, then I think hemp oil can be a really, useful thing, because a lot of people swear by them. They use hemp oil for cats and dogs for aches and pains, arthritis, anxiety,
And one thing also that might have been a reason why it wasn't working for your cat, there's actually a difference between quote unquote hemp oil, especially if you buy it off of Amazon, hemp and CBD oil. Hemp oil is it's sort of a trick that companies use to be able to not only sell it on Amazon, but make you think that you're buying something that you're not. Like the oil that comes out of a hemp seed, they can also call hemp oil, but that oil has practically zero CBD in it. So like they can, it's like a hemp plant that gets impregnated, let's say, it starts creating seeds instead of the big flowers that have CBD in it. So they take those seeds and you can, it's a very nutritious, like a superfood, hemp seed oil. But if you label it as hemp oil and try to pass it off as like there's CBD, you're going to get the benefits of CBD from this. That's pretty much just, they're fooling you into buying something and thinking that it's CBD.
I agree with you 1,000%. That was actually one of my concerns. And all I knew is that my vet had recommended, she said, okay, look, here's a list of brands, because, this is a new industry. She's like, here's a list of brands that have been working for my other clients and for, other veterinarians. They're saying that these are really making a difference. So here are some brands that I can kind of recommend. So I understand all that. Maybe if I was to go to the dispensary, they could hook me up with something that has actual CBD in it or something.
It's amazing. Like,
I don't know. I don't know. She's been doing good on the pheno. So I don't know.
That's good. That's good that you found a solution for it. A lot of legitimate brands, CBD brands that have been making CBD for humans for years, now are starting to all get into the pet industry because of things like this, where there's like illegitimate people selling, hemp oil as something, and it's not actually benefiting the cats or the dogs. So they're making their own, like, it's pretty much the same as the CBD that they're giving to humans, but maybe certain flavors will be different to make it more appealing to cats, like a salmon flavored CBD, which I've tasted myself just because I had some. I wanted to see if the cat would like it, and, like dab it on her paws. And then she, like, on the backs of her paws, then she licked it off. So she got it one way or another. You know what I mean? Like,
I could tell you another trick.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, there's something called, cat and dog probiotics, and certain brands are very palatable for cats and dogs. Okay. And my girls treat it like it's crack cocaine. they love these probiotics. They need a fix. And so if you ever are trying to get a hemp oil or a CBD oil into a cat, you can mix it into their food. You can mix it in with some tuna water. And then if you sprinkle the probiotics on top, that really helps get it all down.
Cool tip.
Yeah. Katniss is very finicky. So.
Yeah, some cats are very strict about what they eat. They like one thing and one thing only.
Yeah.
Get them addicted to that probiotic and then start slipping in the CBD and they'll never be the wiser.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very cool.
They say the probiotics really help in general. Like, her sister had gastroenteritis one time, and we still don't know what caused it. So the vet basically, recommended we try incorporating probiotics into her food. So she's been doing really good since. That was like 2015 or something.
When did the vet recommend CBD, by the way?
Just 5 months ago.
Okay,
or so.
cool. And that was in California?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like,
Yeah.
there's a law just got passed last year that vets in California can recommend CBD. But like the rest of the country, vets aren't even really allowed to talk about it. It's California's got a special like rule about it that vets can recommend CBD, and so you're lucky.
Even if it's hemp oil, huh?
Yeah, they just can't, like they're not able to, because it's still classified in a weird way. Like it's something that federally, the same way that, cannabis, even though it's legal in California, it's Schedule 1 or whatever. So yeah, there's just some weird rule, but California just passed it. That's why it's like I'm trying to get vets to come on the show and talk about this, but like around here legally, I don't think they can. It has to be someone from California. Yeah, really odd.
Well, if you want, I can always refer you to my vet. And
yeah,
you can
I would look. That would be great.
Drop her
any vet that's willing to talk about it, because I mean, we're reaching a large audience of CBD curious people, and especially I know a lot of people, myself included, have a cat, and a lot of people have dogs, and especially like times of the year, some people have anxious animals, and like I know a lot of people that fireworks really freak out their dogs, or like if there were, I had a cat a while ago that any loud truck or ambulance or anything going down the street would freak him out, like that kind of thing. A couple drops of CBD can kind of like calm them down, like would calm them down. So that could be it's good to know that it would be good to talk to a vet to be able to actually hear, experiences from pet owners all over the place. What has happened to these various types of pets that a vet has treated and recommended CBD, because they get the feedback, like they get personal feedback from the owners of these pets as far as like how it's worked for them or helped change their animals' lives. Yeah,
and like it was interesting because Katniss, she was just getting to be so anxious, and then I saw a neurologist with her, and he said that it could be from her seizure disorder that her perception has been compromised, because like there was a point where she was so anxious she was suspicious of my bed. Like every time she would walk past my bed, she would like kind of like look at it like, what the hell? And like even swat at it a couple times and stuff. Like I was like, oh no.
Say she was sleeping on the edge of the bed and had a seizure and fell off and was like, I'm blaming that bed. The bed did it. It was the bed. I don't understand this.
Well, I don't think actually she did have a seizure on the bed at one point, but she did not fall off of the bed at that point. But another thing they're sensitive to is like right now we have what they call the Santa Ana winds, which is part of the exacerbating the fires here. It's like the winds are pretty semi-powerful here. Right. They're not like cold winds, luckily, but they blow around a lot of the leaves outside. And, Katniss and both of them, they get like they think it's an animal outside. Right. And like, they get all whipped up themselves about some leaves. In fact, sometimes they're outside, they're like not outside, but they're like looking at the tree outside, and just the leaves falling, they get all excited because there's something moving out there. I don't know. But, it just, as long as they don't get too anxious.
These are Jersey cats, so they don't know the Santa Ana winds. They don't know what the hell.
TheCBDGang.com, the official subreddit for fans of the CBD Source podcast. Questions, answers, CBD gangsters, and karma. That sweet karma.
Let's talk a little bit about your time in stand-up, though, because I'm sure a lot of people are just wondering how a person evolves into a stand-up comic.
I have done impressions my whole life for my friends and at parties and events and things. I would just do crazy impressions. And so I got into acting when I knew you, I'm guessing. I'm not sure. But I started doing like community theater, that kind of thing, and did some plays in college. One day I saw a casting call, and backstage for the New York Comedy Club was going to be doing a play.
Okay.
And it was all about comedians. And I figured, wow, that sounds fun. I've always wanted to get into stand-up, but I never knew how. So I went there and I did a couple of impressions at my audition, and sure enough, I got one of the lead roles.
Nice.
And then I just got very involved with the comedy club there. They had an improv group that was fantastic, and that was one of the best experiences I've ever had, is that improv group. And then I tried out for their advanced division. And
did anyone come out of that we know now, like any big names that were in that
besides
troupe?
me?
Besides you, I mean. Besides Jackie Eco, the world famous Eco comic.
You know what? I have not really kept track of that, honestly. I went on to get involved with another improv group called Los Bienditos Chocolate, and we did some touring. And I just kind of started doing stand-up as well. I used to perform with Neil Brennan in Times Square. He used to write the Chappelle Show.
Oh, cool.
To co-write it, yeah.
So you guys performed at the same comedy club or the same theater?
Yeah, we used to perform at a couple of places, most memorably in Times Square. And I remember he used to yell at the audience who was not laughing at his jokes. And I was just thinking to myself, does he understand that most of them don't speak English? Okay, I guess not.
Yeah,
but I thought it was kind of funny. He was yelling at them, like, yeah, he was angry, really, really angry. But, yeah.
What was it like doing comedy for a Times Square audience? It's all out-of-towners coming in, like fresh crowd every night, I guess.
Yeah, I did really well because of my impressions.
Yeah, I'll bet.
So it was mostly visual, so I lucked out in that respect. People would just wander around Times Square, and they would sell them tickets on the street, and they just come right in.
Right.
You know, and that's how we did shows back in the day in Times Square.
Which do you prefer? Those are like two different comedy beasts, right? The stand-up comedy and improv comedy. Which do you prefer?
I actually prefer stand-up for me.
Mm-hmm.
But basically the group that I was initially with the comedy club was called Grown Ups Playground with Joy Newman.
Okay.
And just like the exercises of improv were like it teaches you skills you can use throughout the rest of your life. It was so fantastic for me. Like, I loved it.
That's cool.
But I find stand-up to be more cathartic and rewarding and that kind of a thing. I mean, improv is great too. I feel like I've been there, done that. Have the t-shirt and the hat kind of thing.
Right. Say when you're active as a stand-up, you just be writing like all the time or whenever something dawns.
Let me tell you, it is a lot more work than anybody possibly realized. Especially for me, because I like to incorporate impressions and stand-up, so it's like double the work.
Right. And
for me, it is just literally hours of watching Hillary Clinton and seriously, Ann Coulter, studying the crap out of these people. And then on top of that, going to hit open mics and doing the impressions, trying out new material. It's at least 6 nights a week doing that. And nobody pays you for an open mic. In fact, most of the time you have to pay for stage time at an open mic. So it's a lot more work than anybody realizes.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah.
But your impressions have led to some pretty cool things, right?
Yeah. I did Hillary Clinton on MTV. So that was fun around the quote-unquote election of 2016.
Right.
I do gigs as Hillary Clinton for like events and parties and that kind of a thing. So she still gets some gigs.
Right. She still pokes her head out of the woods every once in a while. Do you think any of the Hillary Clinton impression would translate to audio, or is it a lot of visual too?
I can do the cackle for you.
Okay.
There you go.
Nice.
That's the cackle.
That's funny. And I remember I had a party in the city, and you came and you did some impressions. Just one was like, who else did you do? Did you do Sarah Palin when she was really popular for that moment?
Yeah. back in the day.
Right.
Yeah, I have not done her in a long ass time, but yeah.
What are some of the other impressions?
I really should learn Elizabeth Warren and all them. I've just been so busy with my projects that,
Right.
you know. I like Kate McKinnon's Elizabeth Warren. I think it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, she's pretty spot on with that. But
yeah, it's great.
Yeah, if you want to stay timely, you got to like learn all these people, I guess. Who else do you think you could do? I remember you did Cher, right?
Yeah, back in the day.
Like the classic old school impressions.
I don't know if you remember, but at your party I did a Michelle Obama.
Could you still do that? That's more of a visual one though, right?
Yeah, it's a visual.
It's a total visual. Right, yeah. You like
it's like I capture her emotion and her soul.
Yeah, really do.
You know, I have to clarify that so everybody understands. It's like I'm not being insensitive.
No. You really like do a good Michelle clap or something like that. It like totally reads as her.
Yeah. It's like Michelle Obama reacting to Hillary, who's on stage at that moment. So that's kind of a thing. Because I would see Michelle Obama in those clips because I was watching all these clips of Hillary speaking at the DNC, and they'd always cut the camera to Michelle Obama, and she had this look on her face like, I'm going to get you, bitch. Let me tell you. Sooner or later, I'm coming for you.
Oh, that's funny.
And it was just funny. So that's what I mimicked, you know.
Yeah, I love that because then you could play both characters in your act, you know, in your stand-up. Like, do the one. Yeah. That's great. Yeah, really good when you can do two parts of an impression. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm kind of like a Jim Carrey kind of impressionist because I think most of them I do are kind of visual. But
right.
I try to get the voices down for a lot of them. Some of them are tougher than others. Like Hillary, the voice is a little tough for me because I feel like our voices are similar. But it's interesting because I'm from New Jersey and she's from Illinois. So I try to get the Midwest accent a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really know too many people from the Midwest, so I have to really work at that one. Yeah. You know, where I come from, people talk like this, you know, that's my natural accent, believe it or not. So can you imagine why I would like not want to sound like this all the time? I can't imagine.
Yeah. Unless you're doing like Marissa Tomei and
my cousin Benny.
Exactly. But I remember like if you watch any of your like reel online or whatever, you actually buy the outfits and the wigs and all of that stuff. Yeah. Like you really do it.
Yeah. I have like 20 wigs now.
So what about this?
Yeah.
What about this eco comedy too? Like, cause that's a big thing that you're into, like environmental comedy.
Yeah. Well, I don't make fun of the environment because that gets enough abuse as it is.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So I basically make fun of like the polluters and you know I do a shout out. Like a lot of times I'll say like I'm an eco comic or an eco-median, and I will say something like anybody here like you know clean water, breathing and stuff. You know, because I really believe everybody is an environmentalist, whether or not they acknowledge that, because we do kind of need to breathe.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So, yeah.
We are all living in the environment. I mean, let's take a quick break and we'll be right back.
What is the worst thing that you've ever eaten, you've ever done for food, to get food while you had the munchies? I'd love to know that.
Oh, that's a great idea. What is the craziest munchies you've ever had? What is the biggest crave you've ever had and the most disgusting thing you might have resorted to? Like, there's just nothing left in the fridge. You came upon some weed, didn't expect it, and didn't do that shop ahead of time to make sure you had something stocked and ready to go for that munchie crave. What did you end up eating? Because that is an interesting concept. Give us a call, 1-833-CBD-GANG. That's 1-833-CBD-GANG. The numbers are 223-4264. I want to hear from you.
And if you have ever eaten garbage, or I should say food out of the garbage while having the munchies, or any other crazier story, or maybe a story that's not as crazy, give us a call.
Did you get so high that you ate your dad's 40-year-old Twinkie collection?
No, I did not do that. And that's probably because I don't eat Twinkies. That's probably the only reason.
Did you at home get so high that you found your parents' wedding cake topper in the freezer, thawed that shit out and munched on it because you just had to have that cake?
If I had one of those spare, just around, I would. I'd be like, sorry, Mom, that's going to just have to be for next anniversary.
Oh, God. I'm defrosting it. It's tough shit, man, and that thing is gone. Did you eat an entire roll of...
cookie dough.
Oh, yeah, just raw cookie dough.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely, that's something a lot of people probably had.
If you went to go make brownies and ate half the batter.
Oh, I bet that's something someone's done, for sure.
Or if you are deciding to eat your leftovers that are about a week old and you're not sure if they're still good, give us a call.
Right. Give us a call. What's the number, Tosh?
1-833-CBD-GANG. That's 1-833-CBD-GANG. Gang's all here. The CBD Gang. Give the show a call at 1-833-223-4264. That's 1-833-CBD-GANG.
What steps do we need to take, and like what actions, just as a community, as human beings, can all of us take just to be a little bit more eco-friendly? I know, like, I've been reading so many great articles. Like, this is it's sort of on topic because, like, the amazing things that you can do with hemp. Like, I've been reading, like, anything that you can make out of plastic, you can make out of hemp, like a hemp plastic. Like, you can power cars with hemp. You can build cars with hemp. You can use hempcrete to build houses. They're like...
You should have Woody Harrelson on your show, and then he'll really...
I would love that.
He'll tell you every single thing about hemp.
Yeah, there's like 25,000 uses for hemp, CBD just being one of them. So, and also, like, as far as paper and wood goes, like, you can grow a whole hemp forest, 2-3 times a year in an acre that would take, 50 or 100 years to grow wood that would create the same amount of paper. So it's kind of amazing how renewable of a resource it is. And it's just, it sucks the poison out of the soil, like renews the land. There's a lot. Yeah. There's a lot that can happen eco-wise with hemp.
Yeah. Well, people can choose to invest in hemp businesses and companies, and do their voting with their wallet, so to speak. You know what's really nice about LA?
What?
I will say is you see so many Teslas on the road here. It's really nice.
That is cool. Yeah, people have money and people can afford the electric cars. It's great.
You should really come out here sometime. Well, I know it's a bit of a hike, but it's really an experience to be in a dispensary here because it's a very positive atmosphere, I think, where people just can, have their needs met without, being fearful or anything. And it's like a cute little atmosphere, and they have all these little products and that kind of thing. So
I went to one in Vegas when I was out there earlier this year, and it was really cool. Is there one thing I heard recently? Is there a difference in price if you have a medical card and if you don't have a medical card? Like, it's way cheaper if you have a medical card or something?
Not at the dispensary that I've been to. They didn't care.
Did you have a medical card?
I did. I did. It's expired now. But yeah.
California's had medical for the longest time, though, since like 96 or something. I think it was the first state. So California really led the way with medical. And now 33 states have medical. And I think there are like somewhere between 10 and 13 states that have full recreational. I'm not sure. Illinois and Maine both got recreational, and it just hasn't kicked in yet. Like, it's going to kick in the start of the new year. So yeah, like, it's really starting to switch. I think once it gets over that tipping point, like once it hits past 25 states where more states have recreational than not, then it's kind of a joke for the others to not do it, especially when they see how much money, like how much tax revenue and stuff these dispensaries are making for the state. It would be foolish, especially in states that are really populated like New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, to not fully, legalize for adult use. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they're just missing the boat.
Yeah.
I talked to a guy Leo Bridgewater a couple episodes ago, who represents minorities for medical marijuana in New Jersey, and he was saying that what could really happen, because New Jersey's like ready to flip over. If New Jersey becomes adult recreational, there's not going to be enough dispensaries in New Jersey to service that many people, because people will be coming from Pennsylvania, people will be coming from Manhattan. Like, you'll be getting New York and Philly coming over to Jersey to buy all this weed, and they won't have enough. There's not enough like New Jersey based farms yet established to fulfill the need. There'll be like a drought. And then it'll be just a joke. Like, why doesn't Pennsylvania make any of this money themselves? Why is New York not benefiting from this? So that New Jersey could tip the other states over. I mean, Massachusetts is already doing it, and Maine. Like, come on. And Washington, D.C., like, it doesn't make sense on this. Why some of these states are being left out. So I think in the next couple of years, these states will start to flip over one by one, and then eventually the whole country will be like, all right, fuck it, federally legal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
It's coming. It's coming soon. Coming soon to a dispensary near you.
It is. And I also kind of stress to people, especially people who are like experimenting for the first time, especially with stronger strains like in California. I'm going to sound like I'm from California right now. Oh my God. But I just recommend that people, if they're not sure, or they're just new to it, because you have to remember here, it's completely legal recreationally.
Right.
So I say to people, like, listen, just be careful, do what you can to experiment with it at home when you're not going to be out driving and this and that, because we want to make sure it stays legal. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to say, oh, well, it caused so many problems and traffic accidents and this and that. And, that's just my humble opinion, that just people,
don't edible and drive.
People that are new at it. Yeah, so many people were new at it. And, like, look what happens with me. I have one gummy, and I'm hallucinating here. I mean, I'm a mess.
Right.
I mean, I was so baked, and even like I did a gig at a comedy club a few months ago, and the hostess had edible like gummies, and I asked her for one, thinking, oh, no big deal. And I'm glad it didn't kick in until I got home, because again, it hit me really hard. Like I was borderline hallucinating almost. Yeah, completely effing baked. So what I'm saying is just, again, that's my two cents on that.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd like to see it stay legal.
Exactly.
And I just think people need to do what they can to look out for each other and that kind of thing. It's
sort of like the difference between edibles and, like vaping or smoking or whatever. It's sort of like if you're used to drinking beer on a weekend and then you try an edible, it's sort of like taking a couple shots of Everclear and getting into your car. It's a completely different drug. You know what I mean? Like it's another world. I love edibles. Like, they're really hard to come by here in New York. Like, you have to know someone who knows someone. But it was insane. I love getting that high. But when you're that high, you are almost tripping. You are in a psychedelic state where it is dangerous to do things that you can normally do if you just had a couple hits of normal weed or something. So yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, that's more of a, like, let's really get philosophical and deep inside our mind of, let's commune with alternate realities, and it's not just like going to a party. This is like, we're gonna have a real soul searching afternoon, and
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's you got to know what you're.
Pretty useless.
Right. I'm all about sativas over indicas recently, because I just don't want to be plastered to the bed. You know what I mean? That's what will happen if I take too much indica. That indica in the couch. Yeah, whenever you get that sizzle reel up, let us know so we can check it out. So all the gang at home can check it out too. I don't know if you're making that public, that people can actually see it, or it's going to be like all underground and can't show anybody because it's going around to agents.
I have a sneak peek of it. I believe I still have it on Instagram.
Hook us up with your social media.
But,
where can we find you on social media so people can follow you?
I'm the only Jackie Eco online, or at least the only comedian Jackie Eco online.
So,
and it's Eco as an ECO. And as
it's
an ecological.
Right. And it's JACKIE, right? Jackie?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Cool. So just Google Jackie Eco, or like on Instagram, just type it into your search bar and follow Jackie.
Yeah, definitely.
Very cool. See what she's up to. And then, one day when Animal Planet realizes this is a cool concept for a show, maybe you'll get that show out there. Then we can all just watch you hunt down wild cats.
Yeah, or maybe not even Animal Planet. It might be another venue. I just feel a little torn between that and my biopic right now, so I'm not really sure what I'm going to be focusing on.
Who's the biopic about? Who's the biopic about?
That's a secret.
You got to actually talk about some of these things so people know to look out for.
If I told you, it would definitely blow your mind, though.
Oh,
so
really?
We will see. Yeah, I just got to start writing it, really, and I don't know. I'm actually looking into joining some writers groups here to help me, because I kind of hate the isolation of writing.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually why I'm no longer a journalist, but and partially why I went into stand-up comedy, because you can perform, even write as you're doing an open mic, kind of a thing. You're formulating, you're writing, you're recording it. It's more of a physical thing, but the isolation of writing is kind of rough on me. But
you write on the stage, like you're forming bits while you're on the stage.
You're writing in your head and you're recording it. So then, as soon as you get off stage, you can also take notes before and after you get off stage.
That's cool. And you see like instant response. If people are laughing at what you're saying, then you're like, all right, I got something here. Yeah. I can build on this. Build some material on this, and then next time you go up, you got more.
I mean, every audience is different. So, like, if you're performing in front of 7 people, it's not necessarily the best gauge. But if you're killing it with 7 people, then you usually have some good stuff there.
Cool.
Especially stand-up comedians, because then, they hear comedy all the time. If you can make them laugh, that's pretty good.
When I was in college, I used to go to Comic Strip Live a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And just watch, young comedians starting out. A lot of people were doing the open mics and stuff. But I saw a lot of people there that now are like really big names. So even, like everyone gets their start somewhere, and open mics. Mm-hmm. Like if anyone out there is thinking about getting into stand-up, that's a great way to get, your foot in the water and just get stage time and get, confident talking in front of crowds and stuff like that, and seeing what works. I'm giving advice like I'm a stand-up or something. I'm not. But just from, I guess, I don't know, from just watching, I've followed stand-up for so long. I love stand-up comics. That's why I'm saying like any stand-ups that want to come on the show, let me know. I'm a fan already. So very cool. I love that we got you on here finally, and you were able to talk about cats and your whole career and all that. So very cool. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Jackie.
Yeah. No, just so you know, you probably know this already, but a lot of comedians go and smoke weed like right after the show. Usually it's like, a tradition, especially at some of the clubs.
Is it?
Just FYI.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yep.
They do this. They do the show that itself, other than like Doug Benson or something, that's part of their act. The show during the show, they don't get high, or what's the deal? Because you want to remember your material.
I think it depends on the comic, because I know some comics that are just literally going around baked almost all the time, and then there's other comics that are just like use a tiny amount or whatever. So.
Like microdosing before the set, just taking a tiny bit. Yeah. Before I had this podcast, I have another podcast that I recorded 20 episodes of, but I never released it. And maybe I think I'm going to do like, after it's 10 years from the time I recorded them, I'll interview all the same people again. It's an artist podcast. And like see what happened in the 10 years since I first talked to them. But one thing I noticed, like, 4 out of 5 artists smoke weed. I'd say probably even more than that. And I would tell them, like, before we do the podcast, do not smoke. Like, just try to be like, because every once in a while I would interview someone and they would be stoned, and it was just like everything was it was like any answer they'd try to remember something that happened in the past, because I like to talk about your whole career. Trying to pull those memories through like a cloud of weed smoke is very tough. You know what I mean? Like, make it easy on yourself if you're doing an interview, and don't get baked pre-interview.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't like doing interviews on weekends, because
Yep.
But anyway, thanks so much for coming on, Jackie.
Sure.
Very fun.
Totally. I've had people tell me that marijuana makes makes them more creative. I just I wish I could be more of the weed girl right now. I just kind of use it as a tool. It's kind of interesting because back in the day, when I lived in New York, I'll have to leave out some details here, but sometimes I would get a little bit stoned with some people, and then it's so interesting because even then I was so ambitious and everything that on my way home, and by the way, I was in Manhattan, so I didn't have a car or anything, but on my way home, I would stop at like Kinko's and make copies and be productive. So,
well, some people are more productive stoned. Like, I remember when I was in college, when I was a freshman, I went to SVA, School of Visual Arts, and my roommate was a senior, and like the senior painters would have their own studio, like the school supplied studios for them, and he would always be in his studio. But I knew the days that he was stoned because I'd come home and all the dishes were done. Like, every time he was stoned, he'd come home and do every dish. I don't know why. Yeah. But it was like automatically no. Yep. Okay. He's stoned, doing the dishes, cleaning up.
Yeah.
Most productive when stoned. Very strange, but
exactly.
That's why, like, everyone gets, affected differently by cannabinoids. It's your endocannabinoid system. You don't know how anyone's going to be affected one way or another. It could be different for anybody. So it's like some people are really bad drunks, like alcohol affects them differently than other people. Some people can't handle hallucinogenic drugs. It makes them go psychotic. So it all depends on your own body, and you don't know until you experiment with it. And that's why we always say, especially with CBD and THC, titrate up, like start very low, and slowly over time work up your dose until you're feeling positive effects. And if you go too far, then, ease back. Yeah. Don't go that high again,
Yeah.
So,
and sometimes you don't feel anything for like at least an hour or whatever.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like, wait a couple hours after you take it to make sure it's in your system, and if you're feeling effects or not, you'll know.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the CBD Source podcast.
And again, I'm not necessarily weed girl, but I figured I could share what the little bit of experience that I've had with CBD and like cats and my cat having seizures, because a lot of times people have pets that have medical issues like seizures.
Yeah. So,
and even as you might know, people are using CBD for their seizures as well.
Oh, yeah. If anyone is interested in listening to someone like a human being who has used CBD to help with their seizures, episode 4 of this podcast, we had a woman on named Jean, and Jean went from 1 million seizures over the course of, she was having 33 seizures an hour or something like that. She had, so like total over the 10 years that she was having the seizures, it's like 1 million seizures to none. Now that she's taking CBD, it just like kind of made it all go away. Yeah, it's a pretty freaking amazing interview. So I would say if you haven't listened to any of the old archive, go back and listen to our early stuff. That's a good one to listen to. If you know someone who's taking prescription stuff for seizures, like that's a good one to dip your feet into and like maybe explore that with your doctor that you're dealing with as far as dealing with your seizures, see what they think of it.
Yeah. And they're saying that it's also helping some kids with it and, their problems, seizures and so forth.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only FDA approved CBD is for kids with seizures, the Epidiolex. It's like an FDA approved CBD that you can get prescribed But yeah, so I mean, that's proof. Like that's proof that the CBD has an effect on seizures if they actually made an FDA approved version for kids. Mm-hmm. Lennox-Gastaut syndrome or Dravet syndrome. That's like the childhood seizure disorders that Epidiolex is supposed to prevent or cure. So yeah, I mean, it exists. Like that's proof that the CBD, like cannabidiol, CBD can help with seizures in the FDA approved form. So the non-FDA approved form is pretty much the same stuff. So you imagine that it would have some kind of positive effect for people who have seizure disorders and cats and dogs.
Yeah. Totes. And I'd like to say that to all of your listeners, hey gang, please try to do some research of the candidates for president at some point, and maybe even local offices, and just really thoroughly research from various sources, and please consider voting.
Very good. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, you have a right.
Was that too controversial?
No, that's good. You have a right, and it's one of our rights as U.S. citizens to be able to vote. So why not take advantage of your rights?
Yeah.
Let's take one last break, and we'll be right back.
Gang's all here. The CBD Gang. Give the show a call at 1-833-223-4264. That's 1-833-CBD-GANG.
How the hell do you deal with cats when you're allergic to them? I don't get it. Like you picked the wrong line of work.
I don't get it either.
So like you're just harming yourself. But very cool that you're sticking up for the little cats.
Yeah. I think the most recent stat is something like they're killing up to 5,000 cats a day in America alone in shelters. And that's supposed to be a place where they're supposed to be safe and find homes. So that's why I would like my show to go viral and go global and really educate people about spay and neuter. And, like if people want their child to experience their cat having babies, a lot of people don't know if they go to the shelter, they could say, hey, do you guys have any pregnant cats we could take home just for that experience of the cat giving birth? And so this way our children can witness it without us, getting another cat pregnant.
Right.
Stuff like that. It's just like there's so many ways to educate people about responsible, and humane cat and dog ownership. And, even dogs, in a lot of ways, they have it a lot worse than cats because dogs can't really live on the street so much. So, and dogs and cats are our most popular animals. And look what we're doing to them. It's ridiculous. This is not like black widow spiders that are being killed 5,000 a day. I mean, it's like these are our family members, basically. And, it really helps to educate people about stuff like that. So. But my show is supposed to be uplifting and fun and entertaining and exciting and funny in a lot of ways.
Right.
So that's like what I'm looking to do with my show.
Very cool. So maybe if there are any producers out there listening or angel investors who are thinking about getting into producing a show, or like you have connections at a network or something like that, get in touch with Jackie and see if you can get this thing greenlit, because that would be cool. Mm-hmm. Very cool. Maybe get a like another celebrity attached to it with you, and you guys will be like going off doing these.
Me and Amy Schumer.
That would be dope.
I do know some. I've been trying to keep track of like who, like which public figures are care about cats, and like I've noticed some of them, like Bebe Neuwirth and Valerie Bertinelli and Bellamy Young. I mean, you'd be surprised. There's a lot of cat allies out there, so it's pretty cool.
You could do a cat and dog show, and then like Sarah Silverman would be the dog element and you'd be the cat element, and you'd go off into the streets and do these.
Sure.
Why not?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, my show is basically a makeover show, and what's more popular than a makeover show?
And what's more popular on the internet than cats?
Porn.
Well, that's true. Right. Very cool. All right. Thanks, Jackie.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye. It was a lot of fun talking to Jackie Eco, catching up. I haven't talked to her in years, and I love talking to comedians. I love laughing, you know that, and I love to be entertained while I'm entertaining. I love learning about people's lives and how CBD and THC has changed their life for the better. It's always fun. It's kind of funny that Jackie's pushing this cat reality show. It's sort of like if the Wicked Witch of the West was pitching a reality show about starting a water park. It doesn't make sense. Like, it's the one thing she's most allergic to. Anyway, gang, the next couple of episodes are going to be insane. We've got 2 big-time guests coming up in the next 2 episodes. I'm not going to spoil anything, but make sure to come back next Wednesday. We drop new episodes every Wednesday. The next 2 guests are going to be some CB doozies. So I'll CBD next Wednesday.
Give the show a call at 1-833-223-4264. That's 1-833-CBD-GANG.
CBD Source Podcast is written, produced, and hosted by Cole Chaney. Graphic design, photo, and artwork by Ryan Weber, Johnny D, Kevin Bierfelt, Steve, and Cole Chaney. Marketing by Penny Spinazzola. Special thanks to our resident CBD guru, Akash Patel, our CBD Source Vape Lounge expert, Anthony Maltese, our C-Body Fitness instructor, Danny, our personal Cannabidiet CBD chef, Ryan Weber, our CBD News co-host and vocal artist, Tasha Miller, and our CBD Gang subreddit mod, social media maven, and wrap-up girl Cass. That's me. Additional thanks to Caitlin, Liz, Ryan, and Kevin for lending your vocal talents. Want to be a guest on the show? Or do you have a great Weedman van story? Or a story about your craziest experience with the munchies? Call us at 1-833-CBD-GANG. Again, that's 1-833-223-4264. And leave a message. If we like your story, we might play it on the show. Visit us on CBDSourcePodcast.com for all your links to social media, YouTube, and our message board, r/CBDGang on Reddit. Be sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you next week.
Podcast or its related social media pages and interactions are for informational purposes only. The CBD Source Podcast does not offer medical advice. Its host, Cole Chaney, is not a medical professional. His experiences with cannabidiol and other cannabinoids are his own and may not affect you the same way. Everybody's endocannabinoid system is different. The statements made regarding CBD products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. The efficacy of these products and the testimonials made have not been confirmed by FDA-approved research. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. All information presented here is not meant as a substitute for or alternative to information from healthcare practitioners. Please consult your healthcare professional about potential interactions or other possible complications before using any product. The Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act requires this notice.
Do you like or want to try quality, third-party tested CBD? Do you live in the New York, Pennsylvania area? We got you covered, gang. Stop by any of our 8 convenient CBD Source locations. We currently have New York stores in Middletown, Geneseo, New Paltz, Syracuse, Troy, Albany, and Chatham. We also have one in Pittston, PA. We're growing more each month, so check in with CBDSourceCenter.com to find our addresses and new store locations. While you're there, sign up for our mailing list. We're adding new stores across New York and Pennsylvania all the time. We may soon be expanding to a town near you.
Jackie, do you remember when we were kids and we recorded some, like, basically podcasts before there were podcasts?
Oh my God, we were ahead of our time.
Yeah, we were recorded like comedy radio show type of thing together. And then look at this. You turned out to be a comedian and I turned out to be a podcaster. How the hell did that happen?
Who knows?
I did not plan it, but it worked out that way.
It was those shows we did when we were kids.
Exactly.
We did it all. They prepared us for life.
It helped you with your type 5, probably. Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the CBD Source Podcast. This is how we CB do's it.
The Bristling.